Here, I'm starting the recording now. So we've got this doggy here today, and I was debating over whether I want to show you how to work with the grid or whether I want to show you how to measure proportionally. And then I decide I'm going to do both, but I want to have a little conversation about what working with a grid really means. If you're working with a grid, right? So, and I will show you how to draw a grid or create one. Your paper has to be either the exact same size and proportions, or it has to be twice the size or half the size. You cannot grid, the grid doesn't work for you when proportions are incorrect. So when I say half the size, I mean, it's literally, it's not this, right? Because that's not the same proportions. It's this. And for some reason, like going up, and you can't do 3 times the size. You can't do 5 times the size. It doesn't work that way. That changes the proportions. So the proportions have to be kind of even. So it's either this size, you can work this size if you're working with a piece of printer paper. This is a A4 printer paper, you know, US 8.5 by 11 inch printer paper, or you can work this same size, or you can work double this size. 9 by 12 usually works. It's not the same as 8.5 by 11, but it's fairly close. But still, it might be a good idea if you're working with the grid today, just to remember that about the grid. So does anybody have questions about that? I'm going to show you how to do the grid. In fact, I just started to right here. If you do not have, and for those of you who are in Europe or using different size paper, let me tell you, give me a second and I'll tell you what the centimeters are. It's 28 centimeters on the long side and 21.5 centimeters on the short side. So you'll want to sort of block out on your piece of paper those proportions. So I'm going to do both today. I'm going to show you how to work with the grid, and then I'm also going to talk about proportions as we go through. I'll demonstrate those.
So Leah, one quick question. So then if
yeah.
I have 9 by 12, do I do anything different?
I think I would block it off to, I think just to be really accurate, I would actually block it off to 8.5 by 11. If you have a tape measure or something where you can mark that, I would do that.
Okay.
I mean, you know, for the 9 by 12 is fairly close to 8.5 by 11, but not quite. It's not quite the same proportion. So I think it's good to, you could also test it. You could do 2, 1 by 9 by 12 and 1 that's exactly 8.5 by 11. Or 28 by 21.5. All right, so if you do not have a ruler, you're gonna do what I just did. You're gonna take your paper and fold it once, fold it twice, and then you're gonna fold it again. This, now this of course means your drawing is gonna have folds on it, but that's okay. That's not the miracle. The miracle is having the system that helps you figure out where things are. So when I open this up, I've got 16 equal rectangles, equal size rectangles. I'm going to do the same thing over here. For those of you who have a ruler, let's do this. Let's see.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Jess. Where are you today?
I'm going to go cathedral today. I'll paint outdoors tomorrow.
Exciting.
Kind of late start.
Awesome. Yeah. Good to see you. Also, a reminder that Jessica is teaching a 2D to 2D perspective class, friendly perspective class on Tuesday. That's going to be at 2 times. There will be one that's at like 4 o'clock London time, 5 o'clock Europe, and there'll be one on Tuesday that's at 6 o'clock East Coast time, New York East Coast time. So I'd highly recommend that you try it. So for those of you who are using a ruler, you're going to find one. I'm doing this on the source. You're going to want to do this on your paper. I am going to find the halfway point from here to here on the paper on each edge. In the case of an 8.5 by 11, it's 5.5. I'm going to do that down here.
Could you remind me what that is in centimeters?
28 by 21.5.
28 by 21.5.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. I know we've tried it a couple of ways, right? Like I've tried doing both, but I find that really confusing. So I just decided, let's all work with the same size paper. And then I can line them up and draw that first. So that's like fold 1. This is equivalent to fold 2. Let's see, it's 4.5 because it's 9. I'm going to let those of you do the math who are working with centimeters. It doesn't really matter whether you work with inches or centimeters. It totally doesn't. It can be, you can switch back and forth as long as you can find the halfway point. It's whatever number is easier to get to. It's often centimeters, but not always. I found 21.5 centimeters to be annoying, to just as annoying as 9.5 or 8.5.
Well, 9 and
8.5. Right. Yeah. Inches are stupid. You'll like quickly realize when you start to try and divide them that inches get ridiculous. So this is like fold 2.
But
And then-
if you have a 9 by 12, you can just,
Yeah, but I'm asking them not to do that today.
oh,
Yeah, 9 by 12. I'm asking them not to use 9 by 12 only because I want us to talk about the precision of the grid.
yeah, but you can just use a ruler and mark off the area so you get down to
Yes.
8.5 by.
Yes, that's
by
exactly
11.
what that's what I've told everyone.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing. So hello, Diana, by the way, nice to see you today.
Hello, sorry.
That's what we're doing. Nope, that's okay. That's what we're doing. So on the long side here, it's way easier to use centimeters because it's 28. So I'm just going to flip mine over here and mark 7. So folds 4 and 5 are the halfway point, are half of each halfway point. And you would be surprised at how many people, when I pull out this ruler and ask them how much of a struggle it is. It's weird. The ruler, like everything else, is a tool, right? Like our pencil, like our paintbrush, like our marker, like our paper. And like tools do involve a little bit of orientation. I've had people do this in the first time, like they're kind of fumbling. So if you find yourself kind of fumbling with the ruler, that's okay. That's kind of part of the process. I always use inches here. This is about 2.2. It's about half. 2.2. I've had people, so some of the things that can happen are you don't line up the 0 at the edge of the paper. What else happens? You maybe do your measurements, incorrectly. So anyway, I like this though, because it gets me in the zone. So we're going to use this grid today, but I'm also going to talk to you about proportions, about how to proportion this out the way we've been doing with other projects. So for those of you who feel ready for that, we're going to cover it. For those who did the folds, I am suggesting that you redraw the lines so that you can see them. Sometimes it's tricky to see these folds on the side, so I actually will just refold them like that, and then so you can see them easier. Yeah, that's the point. This is process, right? So these grid lines in their own way are kind of beautiful because they're teaching you a process. I use these grid lines for beginning drawers because I know you guys don't have a good sense of how space translates, how size translates onto a 3D surface. That's because I did not when I first started. It takes a while to get sort of used to proportions. Here, I'm going to, wait, I'm going to do one more thing and then I will. So I like this because it's the quick and dirty way of showing you, quick and dirty, how off we all are in our proportions and helping you start to orient towards the real proportions. And I know this is hard to see, but I'll take a picture and you'll see it'll be much easier. But what I'd like you to get to is this idea of more this concept of I'm establishing a vertical distance and using that to define the other distances. So we're going to do both today here. because that's what real drawing is about. It's about kind of proportional drawing and not I'm exactly transmitting this to this, although that's what we're going to do today. Okay. So here is our grid and our first lines. So those who aren't using the grid, I'm going to do this. Actually, it's nice. We have this line that's coming straight through to talk to you about what I mean about proportional drawings. So we have this line, which actually, interestingly, is pretty much going through the center of the doggy. It looks like the doggy is looking straight at us. He mostly is, but he kind of isn't. So if I was to draw a vertical line from the top of the dog to the bottom of the dog, and when I say the bottom of the dog, well, let me just do his face, which is right here. So it's here and here, right? This is the top and this is the bottom of the dog. If I want to find the halfway point, it's not necessarily here. I'm gonna measure 1, 2. Actually, interestingly, it is right there. What a perfect thing. So this happens to be the halfway point. So that tells us, and then I can also from the halfway point find the quarter point. 1, 2. I find, now you'll see I'm doing this by kind of guessing and making a mark where I think the quarter point is and then testing it to see if it's working. It should be the same distance from here to here as it is from here to here. Oh yeah, look at that. So that means if I come down, it's a little above this line. So don't be confused by your grid line here. So these quarter points kind of help us, halfway points and quarter points help us see where features are. So we can see that the dog feature is kind of, the nose is kind of between here and here. So starting below the halfway point and then coming a little bit into this last quarter point. The other thing this can do, we can see where the mouth starts, right? So what a lot of people tend to do with dogs is they put the nose up too high. The dogs have long snouts. So, and this is a foreshortening thing happening. The snout's coming towards you, it's getting bigger. So often the eyes are farther away from the nose, this kind of triangle here. I'm sketching it out briefly. Finding like kind of keeping that in mind as you're sketching in. People get this wrong a lot, so be aware of that. The second thing is that since I have the halfway point, I can also figure out, actually from ear to ear how long this dog is. How can I figure that out without using my ruler? I can do this. I can take a, oh, nope, I'm gonna need something bigger. Okay, I'm gonna use a piece of paper. Ah, yes. Oh, it's interesting. It's almost exactly 8.5 inches, right? In this case, because it's about the edge from here to here. And if I put it here, I can see, if I compare it to the visual distance, I can see that the length from here, from one edge of the ear to the other comes up higher than the dog. So when I'm checking my measurements this way, I can check this one to that one. It doesn't matter how big or small I make it, as long as the proportion is the same. So as long as this line comes up to however tall my vertical comes up to about here, there's a little guesstimating involved, which is what wigs people out about it, but it's, you get better at it as you get along. Okay, so let's get started. Probably some of you have already started. As you know, we're going to start with these outside lines. And I know I'm going to have to move the camera a little bit as I get further up. I can see, look, I'm actually kind of marking off. It's exactly in the middle. Where where these first lines go. I'm not going too far. I know that the doggy's ear kind of bends down a little bit. and then goes straight. So it's almost like an angle line. I know there's more of a curve and you can add that in later, but it's easy to make those curves too big. Here. Also, I can correct more easily. I can see there's the ear. Oh yes, and then here is where the side of the face is. Now I'm more likely to be using, I'm actually, rather than thinking about the side of the doggy's face, I'm more thinking about this triangle in here, trying to get that shape right. There may need to be some adjusting here. So we don't always, even with the grid, and here, I've got to bring that down here. We don't always get things exactly right, but we get them right enough so that as we start to correct things, it's easier to correct. It's all it really, art is all about creating a situation. You're setting yourself up to be able to fail successfully, if that makes any sense at all. You want to be able to fail successfully. All right, so now I'm coming over here. I can see that this line, I can see that the ear comes down a little bit. Head comes here. And I can see that the ear kind of intersects down a little bit. So he's tilting his head a little bit. Oops. I think that's right. I might have to scoot this down a little bit. I don't want this. I need to make sure, oops, yep, this has to come down way further. And I'll show you how I know that. I can see that the top of the ear here lines up with the bottom of the ear here. So my top of my ear, that bump needs to be no higher than here, which means I really got to bring this down. Do you see how I did that? So you see, I made that mistake. There we go. Yep, that's more correct. It bends down more. And I know that because the bump, this bump here has to line up with the bottom of the bump of the ear here. I can bring up that ear as well. So see where my first lines are? Here, now I know I'm getting into the place where I need to do this. And I may sound like I'm kind of, this looks like it's about halfway. I know I'm sounding really anal, but you know, that's kind of what drawing is. It's a sort of anal process. Like it's really, and you just decide that it's something you want to do. But that analness, is that a word? Analness? That analness, interestingly enough, is actually part and parcel with how we get into the relaxed zone of drawing. So it's important. You can see the ear comes down further.
It's also what makes it look like a dog or not.
Right. But I guess what I'm saying is the incentive to do it, beyond the fact that your drawing will get better, is that it brings you into that focus brings you into the relaxed state that we're all craving. Even though it's hard, it's kind of like, I don't know, running on a treadmill or something. So here we go. This kind of comes in a curve like that and then goes straight down. So this is not a straight down line. There's a slight curve, not too much. And maybe I got the curve too much, but I'll know more. And I know that this part of his neck stays within this curve. So there we go. Let me take a picture of this. And then if you guys want to, you can send me your, okay, here, I'm gonna bring this down for just a second so I can get past my camera. Oh,
I had to start over because the bottom, I didn't have enough room at the bottom for the rest of the face. That's stupid, isn't it, when you run out of paper?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why this is important, right? To get these proportions right. I can feel, I'm like, so even though it looks like we're staring at this dog directly, look at the difference between where this ear goes and where this ear goes. So that shows the severity of the slant of the head. It also shows that pretty quickly.
And
What's that?
the left ear is also much wider than the right one.
Because the left ear's coming towards us.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the left ear's coming towards us. Exactly. So yeah, in reality, he's turned his head towards the right, which means that the left ear is coming towards us. Talk about confusion here. So now I'm getting some of those. Oh, he's got that great oh my God, Wilbur jaw. Wow, that's just really cute. Here, hold on. I'm not making any sense. What I'm meaning is he reminds me of like a cartoon dog character. Now, I'm not getting into all of the details, but I'm also going to do this. I'm going to do two things. I'm drawing in this triangle so you can see the kind of relationship between the eyes and the nose. But also I'm drawing in the major lights and darks shapes and the inner ear. Anyway, he's got this cute little jowly thing happening. So cute. And notice I still haven't gone to the eyes, because before I get to the eyes, I want to make sure you guys are getting the bigger shapes right. Once we get started on the eyes, it's all over. You start making things too big, right? Because you're focused on those cute little eyes. There we go. So how do I start? I like to start with things that are easy, that I can see. So I can see this shape here is kind of like a little dark mountain. Notice I'm sketching in this shape before I'm getting in the rest of the ear. I can see I need to bring my ear down just a little bit. So see how I'm just kind of adjusting as I go along? That's a good one. Let's see. Whoops, sorry. Oh, there's an ant. There's an ant on my screen. Come on, get off there. Get off, get off. I can see pretty easily, well, there's these fairly clear light, medium, and dark shapes here. But also it looks like his face comes in. So there's a dark shape here. You can see it better. I know some of you are looking at my screen, but you can definitely see it better on the WhatsApp thread that I sent. So don't hesitate to pull your phone up like this so you can really see the lines. Right? That's what it's for. I know that the mouth kind of comes up here, 1, 2, 3, to about the third, the upper part of the mouth. So that helps me. Notice that the mouth on this side is much smaller because this part of his face is turned away. So these are not equal sizes. Looks like it is, but it is not.
Yeah, it's misleading.
It's not misleading. Your left brain is misleading. Your left brain is trying to tell you that something is happening that's not there. The shapes are like, hey, we're just shapes, man. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing. It's your brain interpretation that needs to see, right, what's really happening. It's our brain interpretation, not yours, like anybody personally. This is all of us. Yep. So yeah, I'd say this is about half the size, almost half the size of this, the jaw here on this side. I might bring this out a little bit because I think it's wider. So you see, you're probably watching me make corrections. One of the reasons I'm able to do that is as I'm coming down here, I'm seeing how much, I'm seeing this dark and this light shape, this medium and this light shape that I have to get in. And I realize I need room for both of them, which means I probably don't have this out wide enough. Yep, even wider. So we still kind of have to judge where things are and just notice how often you're wrong, right? As opposed to how often you're right. I'm going to stop down here right now. I'm going to come back over here and get some other lines in. Here we are. Come over to the side here. So I can see. Yeah. There we go. This comes down a little bit this way. I think that's some pretty good shape. I may have to reshape that a little bit, but I'm still feeling pretty good about it. Now, here's an interesting 1, 2. So right at the quarter point. So if I want to divide my face, here's the halfway point of the face. Here's the bottom of the face. 1, 2. Here's the 1/4, 1/2, 3/4 point. I actually see that my little triangle here that includes my eyes, my doggy's eyes, kind of comes in like this, and it goes down. And this side, this comes almost all the way to the side. So you see, I've created this little envelope where my eyes and the eye socket are going to be. This whole shape is the eye socket. So I have even more help in terms of like getting in my eye shapes. I'm going to start with the socket, which is the dark part around the eye. Oh, it comes over a little like this. I like to have my non-drawing finger kind of here, helping me see where things are. Okay, there's the eye socket here, eye socket on this side. Once again, yeah, these aren't very close, and the shape of this eye socket is a lot different than the shape of this one. This one kind of slants down more, almost like a diamond, and comes up. Yeah, significantly. There's also because it's on the light side of the face, so the shapes are actually capturing more light. Is that right? More like that. I feel like this also comes up and in a little more. Yeah, there we go. That feels right. So there's my triangle. Here's my eye socket 1. Here's my eye socket 2. It's like a geometric pattern or something, right? It's always easier to find shapes within shapes. And then let's see, the top of the nose. So the quarter point is here. The halfway point is here. The nose is about, the top of the nose is about halfway between these 2 points, the half and the quarter. Don't be confusing the half and the quarter with this grid. You'll see the nose kind of entirely ends below here, starts up here. And I can also see that the side of the nose, let's see, the side of the nose, if I go straight up, the eye is kind of on the other side of the nose. So if I bring the nose out to about here. Oh, by the way, people always make dogs and cats' noses way too small. So you'll probably do, you know, notice your tendency to do that too. This is really good. I hadn't really thought about the construction options. It looks like the dog is wearing shades. So when I come here, I know that the eye will start kind of before the nose. So if I line this up, the sort of edge of the top edge of the eye will be on the outer edge of the pencil. Can you guys give me a second? I'll be right back. Hi. Nice to see you. I'm in the middle of class. Do you need something? Just coming to say hey. Well, let's visit there. And I'll take a look at it. Let me come and find you after class. It's good to see you. I'll be back. I will be up at 10. I'll be up at 10. Yes. No, sorry. 11:30. I'll be up. Thank you. So sweet. So sweet. It's very sweet. I rent my house out. Part of my house out is an Airbnb, and we have a lot of return guests. These people just came up from California, and they gave us she dropped off a bag of lemons from her tree and walnuts from her trees. I know.
That's really nice.
I know. Running an Airbnb is like being the country doctor. It's really sweet. Yeah, they're great. We love our people. Okay. Yeah, I think it's about, and the doggy, the eye shape is curved on the top and really straight on the bottom, like a people.
As opposed to cats.
As opposed to cats, right? Cats, where it's a little bit more curved. Although depending on what angle you look at a
Yeah.
cat's eye, you might get a little bit of flat on the bottom, but yes, yeah, cat's eyes are very different. And I think, and maybe next week we'll do a goat so we can really see,
Oh, I'd
because
love to
goat's
do a goat.
eyes are like insanely different, like totally. So. So you see how I'm using the triangle. I'm using everything I have really. My grid, my eye sockets. I'm using everything to try and get things in the right places. So I know I've gone very quickly. I'm probably I'm going to slow down for a minute, take a picture. Here.
we go.
I'm going to start taking a look at your guys' stuff here in a second. Okay. Whoops. Sorry. I made this guy fall. Hey, there we go. And there is that ant. See that ant crawling across? He's been on my computer. Now he's crawling on the tripod. He's like, I'm like, I don't even have the hands to squish him because he's so ballsy. You just keep going, little guy. Here. Let me take a look at what, sorry. I'm like looking at what you guys are doing on the screen and not what you've sent me here. Hold on. Let's see. Vanessa, these shapes, these eye socket shapes look too narrow to me. So I would pay attention to those a little bit closer to the shapes. Should I turn this upside down? Would that be more helpful for people? Shall we go upside down? Let's go upside down. Going upside down, going down. I always love that. I figure that's what people think artists do all day long is go upside down. You know, metaphorically speaking. So really look at that. Here, I'll take a picture of this guy upside down so you can really see him. Let's see, where are you? Hey, Julia, when you take a picture like that, I can't evaluate it. You need to stand over the top of it and take it straight on. When you take it from a slant, it skews. Yes. Nina, these shapes aren't quite right. So, and I don't think, are you using 9x12?
Hear me?
What's that? Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. No, I guess I'm using a sketchbook that's 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches. So I think my
Yes, your
paper is not-
proportions are going to be wrong. They're not, they
Okay.
won't work. So were you here at the beginning when I was talking about proportions and measurement? I'd like you to go back. If not, I want you to go back and listen to that because there's I kind of spent 10 minutes talking about it. But
I
if
did
you're-
listen.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah? Oh,
I
that's
didn't
okay.
get it. I'm not good with proportions. And then I realized I just grabbed paper that I had and it's
Right.
my
So
fault.
if
Yeah.
these aren't the exact same proportion, meaning it isn't half this, it isn't the same, it's a 1-to-1 or then your proportions on your grid will look totally different. So yeah, that's just your learning. on curve. I just want you to know that if the proportions, if this to this, and it's not a rocket science figure, right?
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
either the same size or it's half the size, which is basically this much. So half the size would be just a quarter of this. 5.5 by 4.2. So that would be the proportion. It's if you folded it 2 times. So that's just pay attention to that. This will not work if like you have a 5.5 times 8 is like this, right? That's not the same proportion as this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right.
Yep. Anyway, it's good.
But
We
no, but
learn.
you've explained why the head looks so long and why the proportions look like you
It just
said, not
doesn't work.
right.
It won't work. Right. It's not going to work. It's not
It's
the
gonna look like a-
same. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna look like a different dog. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'll have to do this again. That's what I love that you're recording this because we
Ye-
technically should be doing this again.
Yes. and it helps me because then I can catch you early in the process and go, oh, okay, here's the step that's missing, right? So just to show you again, this is exactly the same, right? This is printer paper and this is printer paper. And this is half the size. Right? Meaning that if I came here and I measured it, I'd see, oh yeah, it's half the length and it's half the width. Got it?
Actually, that really helps a lot with this
Yes.
paper thing.
Yeah, right?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Thank
So,
you.
yeah, try not to think about it in, when I say proportions, don't get too overwhelmed by the math of it. Think more like physically, this, right, is, I mean, if your drawing was contained in this, then this would be half. But because it's not, I need my half to be both half the distance and half the width, half the height and half the width. So let's see.
That
All
sounds
right,
good.
cool. Anyway, keep going. Let's see. I'm going to take a look. So Julia, let's see. I'm going to look at yours upside down, Julia, since I've got it here upside down. Yeah, so Julia, look, your I want you to really look at this shape, and I'm going to redraw it so you can see it. Look at the difference. It's almost like a sort of misshapen diamond. You see the difference between what you're doing? So Julia, I think there might be a problem with your proportions too, but perhaps not. In any event, these shapes need to be more angular. So take this advantage. It's almost like kites. See them? Less like scrambled eggs. Good. Claudia. Are you trying? Oh, good, Claudia. You're just doing proportions. You want me to check your proportions for you? Okay, this looks good. That looks good. Let's see. Good for you. I'm proud of you. That's great. I'm checking to see. So if I go, this looks pretty good. You know what? Good for you.
Wow.
Good for you. I'm just checking a couple. The nose has to come down just a little bit. But other than that, pretty good. I feel like you're starting, and I love how you've got the jaw kind of in the right proportions here, right? So that's the jaw on this side. This is the jaw on the right. Good job. Good job. Keep going. So you know, Claudia, what to do next. Now we're going to start going into the darkest areas, right? And you can add in the nose, the sort of darks of the nose. We're going to save these little freckles, these little whisker holes for last. But we can definitely go in and start, you can add in the shapes of the nose. Let's see if I can get those in here. So here's the dark part of the nose. Notice there's probably 4 values in this nose alone. So pay close attention to that because the nose actually comes up here. right? There's a light part of the nose and a dark part of the nose. No, wait, is that true? Yes. Yes, there's a dark part. The nose is bigger, way bigger than we think. So when I come in here and add my dark areas, there's like 3s and there's several 4s. Right? It's like super dark here in the nostrils. Then it's like kind of a 4 around the nostrils, around much of the nostrils. Yeah. Yeah, and Nina, going back to your point about having the videos, that's exactly what they're for. Because some people learn better in the moment, but other people do better to try it, repeat it, right? And I will be the first to tell you that I go fast. So as I know you guys are all like, well, duh. We've been trying to tell you to slow down forever. But you know, like that's the
Well, I think trying to repeat it once, which is hard for me, but I think we're supposed to do things 3 times, right? So
maybe, oh yeah, maybe it is like a 3 times charm.
it's like 10 times for me, but yeah,
Well,
once is a start.
I think what we're doing is we're building a vocabulary for you, right? Like learning to draw is like building a vocabulary of ways of thinking about things. And that, like language, think we didn't learn our language in one day, right? Or in 2 lessons or 3. It takes many years of hearing it over and over again to understand the patterns that are associated with it. So as you get more practice, you'll find that the concepts will make more sense to you as you kind of struggle with certain areas more. Then you'll be like, oh yeah, I know that this always happens when I try to do this. Right? So
Yeah, it's still counterintuitive in so many ways. So that's where I struggle.
yeah, this is good. This is the struggle. This is great. This is perfect. You're in the best possible place right now. Thank you for telling me that. Yes,
Thanks.
that's the struggle. The struggle is to shift your thinking. It's an entirely different evaluating logical system. Right brain is than the left brain. The left brain is tying images to concepts all the time to help us explain things. The right brain doesn't really care what something's called. It only cares about shape and darkness or lightness. Right? That's what the right brain is all about. So it's just an entirely different way of evaluating. So when Sandra said at the beginning, it's deceptive. What my response was, it's not deceptive. The shapes are really clear, right? The shapes are clear. It's us, it's our brain, it's our left brain that is deceiving us, like, because our left brain is trying to add patterns where there are not, rather than actually looking at the actual shapes, right? The shapes are really clear and really there. And when you can train yourself to see them beyond what you think they should be, like then that's where the shift in thinking comes in. So that struggle that you're feeling, it's beautiful because you are now at the edge of what you know, and the more you practice, the better. And every concept that you grab, you're building like this whole new logic system. And it will come, in the pieces when it comes. Thanks for talking about that. I appreciate it because I think everybody on some level is going through it, right?
I hope so. But then again, I hope they're getting it faster than I am, right? Like it's just.
You're doing fine.
Because when we have I guess, when you work with people that are very left brain thinking, very logical, it's very hard to describe the drawing process and how I think people expect you to be able to draw overnight. And how do you explain that to someone, right, who's very left brain, that it doesn't happen overnight? Maybe it does for some people, but it doesn't.
I guess
for
what
most
I would
people.
tell you, Nina, is everybody's very left brain. There is nobody not left brain unless they don't talk. If you're talking, you're left brain. So don't think there's like, yes, I'm trying to explain it to you guys who are all new at learning it, right? I had to have it explained to me. But mostly what I saw help me was focusing on dark and light shapes, almost like a puzzle piece. So you don't work with anybody any more left brain or right brain than anybody else, any more left brain than anybody else. As long as we're talking, you're in left brain. I love people who come to me and say, I'm way more right brain than left brain. And I'm like, did I hear you say that? That's very left brain of you. Okay.
Yeah, for
Yep.
sure.
Yep. So as long as you're speaking, as long as you're using language, that's left brain. That's why it's so dominant, because it kind of takes over the neural pathways as we're learning to communicate. It gets easier, so we don't really think about it when we're talking. But you will find that as you get more into right brain, it will be harder to talk. You will notice that with me sometimes in lessons. I'm better now because I practiced it a lot at being able to describe. I've thought a lot about how to describe the right brain process, and I've done it enough times that it's easier for me. But you'll notice when I start to get into right brain, I stop being able to describe well what's happening because I'm in right brain. It's not a word thing, it's a shape thing. So,
Yeah, no, makes sense. Yeah.
mhm. Anyway, carry on, you guys. So you guys see what's happening next, right? Now I'm going around and I'm getting the darkest areas, which happen to be in part, there's kind of dark lines around the edges of his eyes. There's a little triangle here. There's a dark edge. There's the dark pupil inside the iris, right? Notice that there's some lovely little value shifts happening in the iris. So once you get the darkest areas, it's a little bit darker at the top and a little bit lighter at the bottom. It's because the lashes and the upper lid kind of shade the top of the iris. So not even the iris has, you know, the light, which is lighter than the pupil, has an even tone. There are rules to it too. So I might just do a lesson on eyes. I think when we get to doing human figures during the rest of the week, I'm going to start doing body parts in beginning drawing, so we can really break down sort of what's happening. Eyes are fascinating. There's a whole logic to how the eye is set up. And when you learn it, it's really awesome. It's like, oh. Here's another thing to think about. This, anybody know what direction the light's coming from on the doggy? Let me put it right side up for just a second so you can see it. What
The right.
direction is the light coming from? The right, right? So everything on this side is lighter than everything on this side, even the light part. So if you'll notice, the light part of the nose, which is this part because it's sticking up, is a little bit darker than it is on this side, right? So this side of the nose, the dark side, this dark area in here is darker than this dark area here. This is probably a 3.5. This is a 4. Maybe this is a 3 3/4. This is a 4. You see what I'm saying? So it gets confusing because the sides aren't symmetrical, because the dark side, everything, even this is the light part and this is the dark part of the dog's nose, but this might be let me label it just so you can really see it. This might be on a value scale, a 3, and this is a 2, right? So even though they're on the same side, this is like here, let's see if I have a metallic here that will show through. Wait, I have a white, I know. 1 second here. This is like a 4.5, right? This is a 4. This is a 3. Whoops. Now it's getting too light. This is a 3. So see, even your standard rules of symmetry, which works so well when you're thinking about defining a dog. Did I write that wrong? Okay. 3.5, right? Even these standard rules of symmetry, they don't really apply here. I'm going to take a picture of this so you can see it. Because it's not about, we know the dog is equal size on both sides, but that's not how we're looking at him. The light is coming from one side, which means that things will be different on this side than they will be on this side. They'll be darker on this side. They'll be lighter on the other side. Here, I'll take a picture of this so you can see it. The right brain really wants to put symmetry into play. It really wants to make patterns where there aren't any. Here we go. I'm going to come right up close so you can really see it. So there you go. You can see the value shifts: 4.5, 4, 3.5, 3, 3, 2. Right? So that's what's kind of happening here. Sorry, I'm going to put this upside down again. Although you can also, of course, totally take your drawing and WhatsApp. Actually, I was going to take a picture of this upside down and send it to you guys. Let me do that now, just so you have it. And I would really also, I mean, there's only so much you're going to be able to see on the Zoom screen, so I would really use this. Let's see, Vanessa. I'm going to have to turn it upside down to see. Yeah, eyes look better. I'll know more when you start darkening the sockets, right? Like around. Yes. The shape of the nose, let's see. Yeah, the nose kind of comes up more. Can you see that? In a diamond shape like this. Vanessa, so there you go. It's kind of more like that. But also within, and you need to look at the source before I started marking on it to really find this, you'll see that there are dark and light. This should be darker. I think your 4 looks more like a 3.5 than a, whoops, I can see I'm freezing here. Hold on. I've been having trouble with my, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Sorry. My, we're having some problems. Yep, see, I have low bandwidth right now, but you can maybe see it.
We continued hearing you.
Okay, great, great. That's good. Okay, so really look at the many value shifts in the nose. You've just got 2 here. There's really probably 3 or 4,
Okay.
and there's a light. So go to the source where I haven't, and you can't see it now because I've drawn over it. So go to an earlier version of the source so you can really start to see the shifts that are happening.
Okay.
Yeah, good job. Everybody's doing good. Nice job on the eyes, Mira. Very nice. Good job. That's coming along. Sandra, good. Let's see. Sandra, it looks like your eyes are lopsided. It looks like if you look upside down, you will see.
Maybe they're too flat underneath for some reason.
No. You have this eye higher up than that eye. If you look here and you see, I'm going to draw a line here so you can see. There's a definite diagonal.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, you see,
Yeah.
your left brain is really, really bossy. It wants to tell you what's going on. Okay, Jane, I want you to start adding in some of the larger dark and light shapes. I think that's going to help you with your noses right now, because right now I feel like the eyes and the nose, you'll be able to tell more. And let's talk about that for a second. Notice there are value shifts happening in the face. So let me see if I can label some of those for you. I'm going to turn it right side up for a second. So we have like 4, 3.5, 3.5, that's 4. That's 1. This is a 2. This is like a 3.5. This is a 4. This is a 5. 5, 4, 3.5, 4. Maybe this is a 4. You see what I'm saying? There's all these shifts here happening. So now your job is, I'd say 3, maybe 3 in between these two. 2, 2, 1. So now your job is to really, what I would do before you guys spend too much more time working on the, and here, I'll take it upside down. Well, no, then you can't read the numbers. Here, I'm going to give you the numbers and then you can turn it upside down if you want to. I want to see you fill out some of these darker, some of these bigger planes before you start getting too much detail in the eyes. Otherwise, it'll just feel like they're floating there. Here.
Sounds good.
Yeah. See, I'm already losing my words. I'm like taking a lot of words to like say a very small thing. There we go. So start paying attention to planes, the bigger planes. Does anybody know what I mean when I say planes? What's a plane?
A surface.
A surface going in one direction.
Yeah.
Right? Like a surface going in one direction. So in a very simple way, with a cube.
Oh, Julia.
1, 2, Julia. So with the cube, here I'm going to pull this up a little bit so you can see it. Right? This is plane 1. This is plane 2. This is plane 3. So it's a surface going in one direction. It's important because if the light is coming this direction, it means that these planes are darker. Right? If because they've turned direction and so they're turning away from the sun. So a plane is like an area that's facing in one direction. And then when there's a plane change, there's usually a shift in value. So here is a pretty significant plane change. This is one plane like that. And then that's a plane. And this is a different plane. That means something has changed direction and it's facing up. So sometimes it's harder to think about, instead of thinking, oh, is the nose facing up? I'm paying attention to plane changes. This is one plane. This is one plane. Here's one plane. Here's another plane. Here's another plane. Here's another plane, and here's another plane. So here's a plane, here's a plane, here's a plane, here's a plane. Got it? We're not used to thinking about rounded edges as having sides. Oh yeah, Tashween, that's coming along. Very nice. Good job, honey. Get some of those sweeping planes in. All right, so I'm going to pull this up a little bit. So it helps to think about, so for example, it's easier to see that something has a side here, but it's harder to see where the sides are on a ball. There is one though. If the sun is coming from this direction, sorry, I know I'm in the way here, but this is an important point. This area that starts to get darker as it moves away, it gets darker and darker. Right? So this is one side of the ball and this is the other side of the ball. Just like this is one side of the cube and this is another side of the cube. So these are the same. So the plane changes that are happening on a person or a dog or anything are more like the sphere than they are like the cube. These eye sockets are so dark because they go in so far. So you see what happens when I add that in. This now sort of plants this in space. What that also means, if you're paying close attention to your plane changes, is that every time you get a light to dark shift happening, that's suggesting something coming forward or backward, even though your shapes are right like a windshield wiper. Really, they're flat. So it's creating the illusion of depth to pay attention to planes. See, it's a whole other language. It's a completely different language. I like the language of drawing because it feels less judgmental to me. It's less about, is something, the language of the right brain is like, that's pretty, that's ugly, that's scary, that's blah, 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 that's this, that's that, right? But the language of the right, that's the language of the right brain. But the language of the left brain, you're just like, oh, that triangle is a little bit bigger than that triangle. It's not like you're like, this triangle's fat. It's not, you know, you're just like, oh, that shape is different than this shape. And you really notice it. In June, we'll start figure drawing. And you'll really notice it in figure drawing. You'll notice that you stop judging what somebody looks like from an evaluative left brain perspective. Old, young, fat, thin, muscular, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, you'll stop doing that. You'll become very focused on the shapes of the person to try to get the person in front of you. So I really appreciate drawing for that. Drawing gets me into that space, which I feel is less judgmental, and then allows me to kind of make more informed information choices. For those of you who have read like Malcolm Gladwell's book on Blink, that's the left brain in action. You know, all of the times when we're right in judging something, and then all the times when we're wrong. And we think we know what's going on and we don't. So developing this side of the brain will really help you in your general accuracy, because there's a lot of information to be picked up visually if you're not judgy about if you're not trying to judge and evaluate it from a verbal perspective. That's my soapbox. I used to try and prove like this would make you a better writer, which I think it does, or a better software engineer or whatever, because it really forces you to focus on evaluative things, right? So it helps you see patterns better and kind of, you know, what's actually physically happening. And then I found nobody really cared about that. They're all like, I'm already good enough writer, you know, but you will see that you'll get better. If you're a writer, you're going to get better the more you develop this side. If you're a software engineer or a marketer, you're going to get better the more you develop this side, because you're going to be very nuanced in the information you can pick up visually, and you're not going to be distracted by the judgments of what's going on that are the projections, right? Our left brain projections that are sometimes right and sometimes really not right. I know you all know what I mean. Right? It's a judgy little space. And, you know, we're in such a judgy time right now. So it's really, it's like, oh my God, like everybody's so damn judgy. Even me saying that is judgy, right? It's very judgy time. So like getting out of judgment can actually often help us evaluate what's happening, I think, better.
Yeah, I screwed up my perspective with the panda, so I'm trying to repaint over.
Oh, do you want to send it over? Which one is, did you do the one with the shoots in its mouth that Sandra sent over?
No, the one we did yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, the red panda. Yeah. Send that over. Let me see.
But it's.
Yeah, Diana, you're a pretty good drawer. So I think sometimes you forget, you just, you don't do the extra step of checking the things because you're used to it, and you get it. And here's what's really interesting. You're a good drawer. And if you don't do those extra steps, you get it wrong, right?
Yeah.
I mean, not you personally, one gets it wrong. Well, I want to be clear because you're so good, you know, you're very, very good at what you do. So I guess what I'm only trying to say is this never ends, right? Like I
Yeah.
get shit wrong all the time too.
Yes, I'm
and when
redoing the report. I can send it because, but it is wrong in proportion, so.
Do
I'm
you want to
thinking
fix the
of it.
proportions and send it over? Or I guess my question is, do you want my help in doing the proportions?
No,
or
I
do you
don't
think
need
you got
help.
it?
I think I can figure it out, but I can send it over.
You might as well send it over so we can see the difference. I want to
So
see how
you
you
can
fix
see
it.
the,
Yeah, the
You can see
fixing.
what a wrong drawing looks like.
Hmm. It's good. It makes you feel better, right? If somebody as good as Diana can like, if somebody as good as Diana can get like the proportions wrong, then that that just lets us know that like that's always happening. That's always how do you say it? It requires a kind of focus and concentration we don't always have,
yep.
Yeah. And then you notice, oops, I forgot to add in this, blah, blah, right?
Where are you? There.
So that's actually a great segue into saying that Jessica's class is going to be really helpful to you because she's going to be talking about the proportion mistakes that people are making when they're translating 3 dimensions to a flat surface. Oh, yep. Whoa, look at that little face. I know, here's mine. I haven't, I was like, I have to finish this one because it's so cute. Like, this is what we did yesterday in
is
painting
cute.
class. Yeah, so it looks like his head is a little long and maybe too
Yeah,
tilted.
it is. So I have
Yep.
to move, I have to fix
You
that,
got it. You got
moving
it. All
down
right.
the right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, show us. And then maybe I will print
And
it.
the tongue is too far to the right as well, so it has to go over.
Yes. Hey, Mira, this is coming along well. Although notice this ear has some very light areas in it. So it is dark, but don't forget there are plane shifts here. So there's one here. This is quite light. This is like a 2.
Okay.
This is like a 3, right? Pay attention to I'm glad you saw this. This ear is darker than this one, and that is true. But then there's light dark shifts within. So make sure you get those. This is good though.
Okay. Yeah.
Nice work, everybody. In fact, I'm gonna go get a little bit more tea. I'll be right back.
It's hard to paint with a cat in your lap.
You know what? Last week, I installed myself on the couch and I had like a very nice tray. And the next thing I knew, Rabbit was lying on top of it.
Of course.
And the whole session, like
Sandra-
having to hold my pen.
By the way, Sandra, great subject today. Wonderful subject.
Oh, good.
love
Yes, I
that.
thought it'd be perfect, this guy, because he's very monochromatic.
Yes, he's monochromatic, but lots of shifts
And
in
therefore
value.
perfect for values
And-
here.
Close, but not light, and like very clear light source, light and dark source, and great shapes. So we can address all these issues. I'm going to send a picture over of the earlier dog. It kind of went down the thread, so I want you guys not to lose it. It's easy to. Let's see, here it is. So here he is, little cute guy. Yeah, when we move to figure, there's going to be a point where the core curriculum classes, which are the weekday classes, are going to move to figure drawing. And I may or I may not bring some of that into this class. I want to keep this more of a beginning drawing so that people, but totally beginning drawers could do figure work. So I'll probably focus a bit on some aspects of figure drawing, and we may learn to draw, like focus on maybe a hand, maybe focus on a eye, a nose, right? Like we'll just sort of break it down into features. I'll see, I will play it by ear. It also depends on how many new people are joining us.
You are so
Do you mean that all the classes are going to switch to figure drawing?
Just the
Oh.
ones during the week, not this one.
Hmm.
Not Sunday's class. But yeah, everybody's going to go from, we're going to spend Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday are going to go from acrylic to watercolor for 2 months, and then watercolor to figure, and then figure to face, and then buildings to ink to pastels, just like we did last year. Yeah. Absolutely. I'm going to maintain a painting class, which will probably be on Tuesday mornings, which will be evening for Europe. And so I'll keep an acrylic / oil painting class going all year so that people can jump in if they like, continue with
As long
their
as
painting.
it's not the abstract one.
No, not the abstract one. The abstract one's probably going to be in the evening. I don't think Europe is going to be able to partake in that, not live. It'll have to be a recording. No, the
Yeah, I think
abstract
it's
one will be at
maintain them.
the abstract one will probably, it depends on her schedule, but it'll probably be like a New York time zone thing. I'll just have to see.
This is what I have to deal with today.
Let's
What's
see.
that?
Where are you?
Is Julia sitting on your lap?
No,
Aw, she's
completely.
very
Started climbing.
snuggy.
Yeah.
She's snuggy. She's very, she's so
Yeah.
cute. She's snuggy. Yeah, our little snugs.
Can we try to get you to go away? Please?
Nope. I'm sorry, Mom. No way. No way, Jose. I've kind of stopped working on my drawing for the moment, so I'm going to move this because I'd rather work with other people. I'll finish mine later. I really love the raccoon drawing we did last week. I was just looking at it and thinking,
Oh, yeah.
right? Like how cute
Yeah.
that is.
Please, I have mine here.
Yeah, you did a great job with yours on the paint. Take a picture of
I
it,
did it.
Diana, and send it across the thread.
Yeah, I can do that.
Um,
That one I got the proportions right.
yes. It just requires focus. And it's interesting.
Yes.
Sometimes we have that capacity and sometimes we don't. So when you don't have it as a painter, you might go to something that's easier. Like for what Jessica is doing right now, being out on location and particularly working with these crazy architectural structures of the church. She's got to be really on in terms of being
Yeah.
able to focus and check her lines and her perspective. There's no way to kind of freehand that. I mean, she's freehanding it, but her focus has to be quite strong. Also, she's doing it a lot. So every time she does it, she builds a little bit more knowledge about how to do it. If she wanted to take it easier on herself, she might try a tree, right? Which has a slightly more organic structure. Not to say that trees are easy. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying,
It's
like,
good.
it's a job. Like, there are points where the job of drawing is really going to, and painting is really going to require a lot from you.
I sent
And-
over the little raccoons.
Yeah, you guys can see what Diana did with her painting of raccoons, which we drew last week. Looks great. So cute. Yeah, Jessica. Yeah, see that? See what she's doing? Look at all of that. Oh my God, look at all that. That's a wonderful way of showing how much structure has gone into these pieces. And look at those little guys. They're just so cute. Diana, you did a great job with them. Really great. And I love the color, as always. Diana's really good with substituting different colors to reflect value. So you can see she's not stuck with the colors of the thing. She can put in whatever colors she wants, but because her sense of value is so attuned, it still looks realistic. It's nice. I should probably stop talking so much, but there's so much to say on this subject of like what's happening to your brains right now. I'll try and be a little quiet unless somebody has a question. And of course you can
I'm
send
just
it in.
sending you my dog.
The cat.
So just make
Lion.
sure, Sandra, that you get, I feel like his nose is too high, but maybe, let me look. Or his
Move
face
the
is too
face.
narrow or something. Let me look at this. I'm
Maybe
gonna check.
face is
The
too-
face is too narrow. I think the face is too narrow. I'm gonna check this. Yep. Well,
Yeah, it's too narrow.
something's off. Yeah. And the eyes are wider apart.
I
So
moved
they
the eyes
really sit in this. So they're smaller and wider apart. They really sit in these eye sockets. And then there's the bridge of the sort of forehead is in between. So we have these two dark eye sockets and this pretty sizable space that's like a 3.5 in between. See this? I don't think you really have
Okay.
that. That's because you scooted your eyes too close. Your eyes really sit on the back, on the either side of this. So I would pay
They're
more
too close
attention.
because
They're too close together
face
and you
is too
don't
narrow.
get the eye. Yes. So yes, that's what I'm thinking. Yep.
yeah, I kept
So-
moving to get one higher up than the other.
Yep.
Then I lost the spacing.
Yep. So just make it wider and bring the eyes out more. Bring the ears and the eyes out a little bit farther. And you'll notice that what I'm looking at with Sandra, it's not like Sandra hasn't drawn a good dog. It's just not this dog. Right? So if we're trying to draw this dog, this is a good looking dog. I mean, I'm not arguing. This is a good drawing of a dog. It's just not exactly what this dog is. So these little tweaks, I think that's what happens with people who, ooh, Toshween, good job. I think Toshween, I'm going to look at this upside down. I feel like the
Can I
nose
please
comes
double-
out a little bit farther than you've got it. And there's a bigger shape. So can you see this? I want you to look really closely at your nose. So the shape of this nose comes out. The nose is always bigger than we think. And I'm sorry, this is a great drawing. I should say that before I start criticizing it.
No,
No, no, no. I want.
I
the
want to help
feedback.
you get it to be, it's so close, right? So look at the space between the nostrils as well as
Okay.
the nostrils, right? This space is as important as that one. And it's exactly the same issue I was talking with Sandra up here.
Okay.
These eye sockets, right, are as important, and this bridge of the forehead is as important as the eyes. But you know, what happens is you start drawing the eyes and then you forget that we need, oh, I need enough space for this here, this here. So look at the nose and see. Yeah, otherwise it's looking pretty good.
Thank you. Also, could
Easy.
you help? I have one more question.
Yeah.
So it's like, I guess it's the left of dog. Like, you know how you can see that's basically, like, I feel like there's two, like, I don't know how to get it to like the point of the mouth to come longer, I guess. Like, you know where the dots are?
Yeah, his little freckles here.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the spot where, like, how do I make like the second round?
Round.
Does that
The
make sense?
freckles are really, so you're not going to try and draw every dot. That's part of it. Okay, so
Oh,
the first thing
yeah.
I can,
You, like, that's,
yeah.
like
Does
I'm
that
struggling with smart.
Okay, so the first thing I see is that this white spot is way too long. That's partly why it feels so big to you. It's too long.
Okay.
You need to bring this dark area in and trim this down. Right now you have this white bit popping up over the jowls, but you can see it's lined up with the jowls there.
Oh, okay.
See, so
Yes.
that's part of your problem, right? Not at all actually the issue, but the thing next to the issue. So this needs to be modified. It also needs to be darkened a bit. You're going to draw, so the dots are dark, but in areas they're kind of in groups. So you're not going to draw every dot, and you're going to look for the groups of dots. So that's like here, right? It's kind of darker.
Mhm.
Then here's a dot here, here. Notice that the dots aren't in a row. The dots should be fives, right? But really pay attention to, and down here as well, it's kind of darker shape. A couple of dots come out of it. So it's not like it's equal numbers of dots on this side and this side.
Okay.
This is probably like a 4, and then the dots are 5s. And this is like probably a 3.5. So this is like 4, this is 3.5, dots are 5s. Got it?
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you.
You're welcome. It's just variations of, like, right now you're getting into but I think the thing that's bothering you the most is that big white sort of bottom lip of his bottom jaw, which is too high up and too light compared to everything else. Yeah. And you'll definitely need to return to the original drawing for that. I know I've covered up a lot of it here with the bigger colors. So you want to go back to the original photo. And I can maybe show you a little bit. Toshweed, if you're still having trouble, let me know and I'll do a little demo for you on what I mean.
Yeah, I would love to see if you want
Okay,
to.
I'm a little bit behind you, so I'm going to have to quickly get up
Yeah, do
to
whatever.
speed. Let me get up here. No, I think I can do it pretty quickly. So you can see how I have his little, wait, what happened to my, here it is. Okay, so I did the opposite. I kind of bring him up a little. So this is like a 3.5. This is darker. So this is like, I'd say, so this is darker. The sort of, in general, this jawline is darker. And by the way, you can make marks in more ways than this. This is the way. I'm not really a pencil drawer by nature. I'm really more of a painter. So my skills in painting, oh, and look at that, right? I need to bring my doggy's nose down a little bit, paying attention to that shape a little bit more. So see how I'm sort of, as I'm getting in my darks, I'm able to sort of correct my shapes more.
Yeah.
So this is like a 5. This is like a 3, maybe a 3.5. And this is like a 4, basically. Because I can see that this is dark, that when I shift from here to here, and actually this needs to be even darker. See that? I can see that when this shifts, I can see, because I can see that this is lighter than this, right? I need to have that. And I can see that this is darker, a little bit darker than this. So you see how I'm working towards the edge to get that value shape difference happening? Now things get lighter up here. So I'm really just going to be working down in here for the moment. I can see that it's even, that there's this kind of dark here on the edge. And out here, see that? See how I'm starting to kind of shift? So it's very comparative.
Mm.
I'm looking at what's happening here at this edge, here at this edge. Same thing I talked to you about with painting, right?
Mm-hmm.
So see how I'm darkening here. This is kind of dark. And now I'm going to start to add in some of the dots. And there's a couple dots coming out of here. And then this set of dots kind of comes up and down. So I guess maybe what you were asking is kind of how you add the, at what stage do you get these, right? Do you put these guys in? Is that what you were kind of asking?
I was actually asking like right above the dots, like you see that light area that's
Here.
part of like the upper part of the nose.
Right
Yeah,
here.
and a little
Yes.
bit more to the, yeah, like how do you use
Soft
the
edge.
different values?
Soft edge.
Okay.
Use your eraser. So you get rid of that hard edge. I'm so sorry. I thought you were talking about down here. All right. Well, anyway, I'm glad you finally stopped me. So see how I'm creating a kind of feathery edge
Mm-hmm.
with my light and my dark here? And then I'm bringing it down so it doesn't look like, that's kind of how I'm doing that. I've kind of lost the edge. I might have to look at the picture to really see what's going on. But you know how I might, you've been in the painting classes, right? So you're seeing how I like kind of feather, you kind of feather the edge rather than have this. It's like this strong line is really too hard, right? It doesn't, that's not what's actually happening. It's a soft edge. So I'm kind of going between my, my eraser. See how I'm bringing my eraser in?
Yeah.
To create a softer edge, and then maybe erasing out just a little bit. I'm really working the edge. So I'm going back into the dark side. Is that helpful? Is this what you wanted to, is this helpful to see?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm creating a softer edge. And if you look at the thing, you'll see that the light area comes down a little bit farther here on this side than it does here. Comes up a little higher on this side.
Okay.
Right? If you really start to look carefully, you'll see that. You'll see those subtle shifts happening. Now I have to make sure. You'll also notice that the actual dark nostril part is very small. Things are mostly 4s. We'll talk, maybe I'll do something on noses. Noses are really interesting because there's a lot of really subtle shifting. So does that help? So I'm kind of, just like I might with a brush, kind of feathering out here and then going back in on this side. And then if I'm like, oh, that's too dark, I want to bring it out, I take my eraser and I kind of pop it in. So I use my pencil like a brush. Not every artist does that, but I do that. I'm getting rid of this line up here because it's too hard. Is that starting to get to where you're wanting, is what you're wanting to see? There's this kind of light area down here in that dark. But this is the edge you're really working. So where I'm really looking is, do I have enough contrast and is it a soft edge? Yeah, there we go. Starting to get there. Notice it's easy to get too big with different shapes. Yep. Yeah. And then for those who are wondering, here's how you handle this part, right? I can get your little freckles in. So you can see this, see how it kind of comes up like this? Now it's starting to look a little softer. Now for this to really work, I should be working all around, right? I need to be working also what's happening over here. For this to really showcase, for my doggy's nose to really work. I kind of also have to work here. And pay attention to the shift from like, say, I don't know, 4 to a 5.
Yeah, Leah, I think what you were saying about having the language to describe it was really helpful.
Yes.
Maybe what I was struggling with was like, how do I get from like the socket plane to the nose plane, like between those?
From here to here, from here to here. Oh, from here to the nose plane.
Exactly.
All right, got it. So not this part. This part.
All of it's helpful. I hope it's helpful to everyone.
No, yeah, no, you're getting it. No, I got it. Okay, so hold on. Let me look at the original drawing because part of it is I can't see it. That's coming along, Sandra, looking nice. Let me take a look at the original picture. Right, so to me, there's a shape. All right, I'm gonna look at it upside down because it's easier to see. So from here, there's a light shape. Let's see, there's like a light shape here that's pretty key. Can you see that one? This one here?
Yes.
So that I need to keep that light, comes up like this. This is also, try taking your finger or a blending tool. So what you want is a pretty, and your eraser is going to be key. So I'm sketching in the lightest part, which is usually the middle of the bridge of the nose. But notice I'm really focusing on the edge where one area meets another. And for that really to work, I've got to work the dark areas so that this comes out as light. Got it? Is that helping? Ah, sorry, so I'm really paying attention to this edge. This light edge is a key part of the nose to show that shift. That shape is really important. And to show this light shape, you've got to get the darker shapes in around it. So it's a little bit darker here. Probably gonna erase out. The shift is a little bit less dramatic here. In fact, if I look really closely, I can see that there's really no line here at all on this side. It's really only here. Does that help?
Yeah, I think that's why it was so difficult.
That was messing with you, right? I can see it, right? And I wasn't really looking at that because I was looking at the bigger shapes. So there's really, it's really only here, and it ends about here. Comes about to here, this light shape here. So there's really no line so much. It kind of disappears, the edge disappears a bit over on this side. All right, we've got it finally. And then now I can
Yeah,
come in
that's
here and see, that's what you were asking. So this is what we call a lost edge, right? That means I can't really tell the difference between one and the other. It's very subtle. And I'm still kind of getting, you know, kind of getting back and forth on it. But yeah, the line sort of stops about here where the light edge is. And then what's happened is it's turned over. Oh yeah, and that's a key one too. Anyway, I think we get it now. Thank you. Okay, finally, I finally got there. Finally got there. Finally understood what you were asking. Yeah, there we go. Yep. So the shift will happen kind of somewhere else to lighter, will happen kind of somewhere else here. And eventually I have to get rid of all these lines, right? So this will all have to be done with shading, and the lines need to kind of go away, particularly in places like that. Yep. Okay, see, now you've got me in here. Again, all right, there we go. Good question, Tashween. Vanessa, just work the areas of value shifts that you can see. Look at the biggest ones first. Don't get impatient with yourself. Do the biggest shapes, the ones where the shifts are obvious, where you can really see a difference. Don't try to get every shift in the first. Start from the biggest shapes, go to the smaller ones. That will be that's your kind of way of working. Samira, I can tell you're starting to get tired. Notice how much darker this is than everything else. So you need to get much darker down here. Pay more attention to your values all over, or take a break and then come back. You know what I mean? Like we're almost at we're almost at the end of time anyway. Spend another 10 minutes, everybody watching. Yeah. So if you're feeling overwhelmed by the detail, I just like to go to the biggest shapes first, the ones that I can obviously see, like here, right? Like here and here. Like this shape, like the light dark shape here. So just go to the ones you can see. Here's one here that's pretty big. And there's one here. Go to the ones that you can see and then worry about the ones that are trickier to see, like this one that I worked on with Tashween until later. What happens is as you start to construct as you start to get the bigger shapes out, you'll see how much detail you need to get into the little ones. So imagine that if you can't see it very easily, it's probably not happening. Look, that little ant is back. There he is. He's crawling all over the paper.
What?
Weird little dude.
I
Right here.
finally got rid of Julia.
All the animals like the drawing. So, Tashween, to continue this conversation about lost edges, they are very important actually, because it's easy to get too much into this idea of contour lines, right, being everywhere. And the soft edge really starts to show a sophistication to the drawing. So when you can see areas where, like, it's usually in a shadow area, but sometimes in a light area too, where it is hard to see the transition, or you can't see the edge of a thing because it's as dark as the shadow, the cast shadow next to it. So reflecting those by, of course, drawing what you can see, which is not drawing what you can't see, helps to kind of nuance the drawing. That's all. That's fairly late in the process. And now he's on my hand. Come on, dude. I do not want you. I want you to do your thing, but not on me. Come on, get off, get off. Get off. Get
Is
off.
that the same ant? bothering
It's the
you?
same damn ant. He's totally been all, I'm just trying to get, I don't want
Put
to
him
kill
outside.
it.
Put him outside.
Oh, good idea. Good idea. Okay, I'll be right back.
Oh, it's still-
Oh, hello, Hannah. Sorry, Hannah's not here today, but we'll see you guys. Anyway.
I must say, pastel is much more satisfying than this.
You can
Hatching.
make soft edges easier. The pencil is a trickier, in my view, you know, probably if I was somebody who liked using the pencil more, I would be able to show you more with it. But yeah, I agree. I mean, I think pastels are like far and above. It's just so easy to make the soft lines. We're going to move to charcoal at some point, probably in after June. And you guys will see the difference in drawing with charcoal and drawing with pencil. Significant. Some people will like it better.
Yeah, I think it's easier. It's
For some
messy,
people,
but-
it's easy. For some people, it's easier. For some people, it's harder. It's interesting. It depends on how you naturally think. But like for somebody who's more painterly, I think charcoal is easier too. I prefer it. But I also appreciate being forced into using methods that I'm not as big a fan of.
I admire it, you know, when I see people do it, but it's,
Mhm.
it's not that satisfying to do. And it's messy. Not as messy as a charcoal, I suppose.
Yes.
Mhm.
Leah,
Yes.
you found the card, right? You didn't throw away the cardboard.
I did not. I have the card.
Oh,
Thank
good,
you.
good, good.
I'm on
No,
it.
because I once sent it to my brother and he didn't see the card.
I got
No.
it. I totally got it. And did you see the picture I sent of Hermes next to his little? Here, I'll put it
No,
over
I
right
didn't
now.
actually.
It's really, I'll
so
send it over
cute.
right now. It's really cute. I took a picture of Rob holding it up. He really loved it, my boyfriend. And then,
It didn't show in the picture.
yeah, I know.
looks
He
so
he's
cute.
like, he looks so gruff.
looked
And
very
he's such a
serious.
he's such a teddy bear, but he does not, men are like that. Here, hold on. Here it is. But look at this one. This is hilarious. He's like,
They were so cute.
I just sent it across the thread.
Oh yes, I thought he was going to jump on it actually.
He did, but I stopped him.
It's like
Here's the
looking
next
at
one. He's
Mel
like, oh
and
yeah,
me.
you know cats well. Here's the next one in the series. I got this. And then he was like, I'm gonna go. Oh, actually, this one's even better. He's looking up kind of with that same expression.
Oh, they were so nice.
I'm looking at you.
They're beautiful.
Oh, that's really cool. Actually.
They're really,
It's like,
I
does it
know.
really look like me.
Yeah, he's like, is that me? Oh, I'm gonna pounce on it.
Oh,
You're gonna pounce on it. All right, you guys, we're at 11:26. So why don't you go ahead and send where you're at? You can, of course, continue to work on this. This is definitely one of those things that's a good drawing to continue. I want to actually I'm going to remove the spotlight and put you in gallery view. I'm going to ask you to spend a moment telling me what you learned in this lesson. What are two, let's put it this way. What are two things you did well? What's one thing you did well in this lesson? So Sandra, can I start with you? What is one thing you think you did well with this lesson?
Sorry, who?
You.
Oh, me.
Yeah.
What
did you do well?
I'm glad I didn't use the grid.
Yes.
I think
your
I'm
proportions.
learning how to measure a lot better. I use this tool a lot, which I love.
Yeah, that's a great
because
tool.
I hate the because that
Yeah.
means you don't have to find
The numbers.
Was it like 4 centimeters or
Yep.
4.2? So I love that.
Yep. Yes, absolutely.
This is in a way I love that picture because it's very close to pastels. I mean, it'd be very fantastic to do this with pastels
Yes.
because it's all about values. I love
It's
that.
all about values. Yes. And shapes. Julia, what about you? Turn off your mute and tell us, what do you think you did well? What do you think you did well in this lesson?
What did I do? I think I self-corrected. I realized I'd got a whole load of things wrong.
Yes,
And
that's the best
Rub them
thing to
out.
do well. I don't expect you to
Good.
get it right. That is the best thing to do well. Good job. Tashmeen, what about you? What do you think you did well? Yeah, you did a lot well. What do you think you did well in this lesson? What do you think is your best?
Learning to ask questions, and
It's lovely.
I think my biggest fear about art is just like getting it wrong. Like I'm just always afraid to like show that I didn't do it right. So
So you think you're
Yeah.
getting better at that, like recognizing that that's a part of the process?
Yeah.
Excellent. Claudia, what about you, my sweet? Your hair looks cute, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. So what do you think you did
Wow.
well? So what do you think you did well with this in this exercise today?
I did it without the grid because I have the European paper size and I didn't. I
Yes.
didn't lay, so I didn't. Yeah, I just kind of. So that was
You
actually.
have moved on.
She has moved on. She has moved on.
That's yeah. So.
And I think you did well with that. That's awesome. Diana, what about you? What do you think you did well today? I mean, obviously you weren't doing the lesson, but like, what do you think you did well today? Correcting your panda?
Well, it's not totally corrected yet, but I am self-correcting. But this is always my problem that I don't like sketching, so I just
You try to
jump
guess.
on. Yeah.
And yes, when you
And
guess
most
wrong,
most of the times it works.
most of the
times
time it works and sometimes it doesn't. But that the point is self-correcting is the issue. How about you,
Yeah.
Vanessa? What about you? What do you think you got right? What do you think you did well?
Well, there's a dog looking thing on my paper.
Yes.
Yeah.
This was
that's
a
great.
really hard class. I missed raccoons last week, so I think possibly I missed some techniques, but well, like a 100% gray dog, so I feel like I am.
You're getting shapes. You're
Yes, my eyes are sort of adjusting to different shades of a color.
Of gray.
And even in our tree classes, I felt the values were a hard thing. So this was like the next level of trying to train the eyes to see those things. I
yeah,
guess.
yeah, it's edges. You're getting better with edges, I would say, is probably the best. It's good. Jessica, I know you're in the church, so we're not going to ask you unless you want to say. She says a few minutes. Mira, what about you? I'm seeing some nice jumps for you. What do you think you're doing well? You
I
did
think
well
I'm
today.
getting my shapes right.
Yes. And your values right.
I'm
You're
getting better. That's how I
Yes.
feel.
I agree. I agree. I think you're significantly getting your shapes right. And that's not an easy thing because what we think is bigger, things that are bigger and smaller than we think they are. This dog's eyes were very deep set back into its head. They were not in the center of that socket, right? They were just like a little corner. I mean, our eyes, here's our socket, and our eyes kind of sit in all of that. So it's easy to project that onto the doggy when that's not happening. So got kind of seeing shapes in relationship to each other. I agree. I know Lana can't. Jane, can you tell us what you've done, what you think you did well today?
So I am in the shapes camp, which I think is
Yes.
big strike for me. And it was just
Yes.
fun to color them in.
Right? It is fun to color it in, right? Exactly. It's like, yes, it is getting the shapes and then starting to color them in.
Some of us are a little more
I
basic.
love that. Nina, is that you in both places? J and NJ? Who's J?
Oh, I'm Janet.
Oh, hey, Janet. That's right. So Janet, what do you think you did well today?
Well, this time I used a ruler to proportionate right my paper.
Yes.
So
And that
I did
helps.
it. Yes. And I also worked on my patience. Yes.
I mean, Janet, you're already a wonderful drawer. So it's not like you don't come already with some skill, but yes, this nuance, and it's not about being the best drawer in the class, right? Or in your group, because that's easy. Like everybody here, if you went out in public and you showed that your drawing, they'd be like, that's better than I can do, right? Everybody in the class did that today. So all of you were better than most people around you. The question is how to keep pushing that, the bounds of that, and to understand intellectually what's happening as you're doing it. Yeah, wonderful. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Nina, what about you? I showed you how to do proportion right?
Well, that's the part I was not the best at. But I think considering I didn't follow a square, it's proportioned better than I would have normally done, I think.
Yay.
So
That's wonderful.
a big thing. Thank you.
Yeah. And I like focusing on what we learned, right? Because it's really easy to focus on the things that we didn't get right. But everybody, honestly, like everybody, you go out there and you show people your dog. Virtually every ordinary person who's like your average person is going to be like, oh, that's really good. I could never do that. I only draw stick figures. And you can say, no, you can do this too if you wanted to. This is a process. There's a process for constructing this. So I feel like you guys are all starting to get there. That's exciting. I think it's great work. And I guess we're done. It's 11:30 my time, so later for you guys. Remember, no landscape class tomorrow, but we'll be back on next week. And remember, there is our extra perspective workshop, which will be on the thread, so in the video channel. So if you miss it, it'll be on the channel. And I'll see everybody soon. Good work today. I think lots of learning.
That was great.
Yep. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.
Bye.